Welcome. Today I have for you art supplies that I bought at Five Below, starting with mixed media paintbrushes used for acrylics and watercolors. I always use very soft brushes when I paint, and I saw this. It was $5. Obviously, done deal. Next, alcohol markers. 12 of them, $5. I can't pass that up. So these were like neutral gray tones. I'm going to swatch them later in the video. It gives you some drawing prompts. Kind of interesting. Pause to read if you'd like. Then 18 alcohol markers for $4. $4. 18 of them. Look at those vibrant, juicy colors. Oh my god. I was shocked. And then this one also had a drawing challenge. Create a landscape. Very nice, very nice. That was all I got because I had to restrict myself, okay? I had to, get my priorities straight because I can't be out here spending $500 at Five Below. That's overdoing it. You understand? But they had canvases. They had paint. They had, like, everything you could think of. Like, didn't even need to go to the art store. So, I'm coloring in an old Inktober drawing. The prompt was Solar Scum. And it was from Craig Gleason's Inktober prompt list from, I think, 2019. And this is a Crescent RENDR sketchbook that I have not finished yet. I started in 2019, so the first few pages is just Inktober drawings. And I thought, why not just color them in, make them cute, because I felt like they looked so plain without any color or any shading or anything. So I figured I'd just color them in. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I don't know what I was expecting. I feel like I wasn't expecting much from these markers, but they actually turned out to be really great. Like, these are the vibrant ones. I was shocked at how smooth they went on and how, I don't want to say wet or moist, but like wet and moist they were. Like, it was just gliding on the paper. I feel like I've had alcohol markers where, like, you buy them and they're not pigmented, kind of on the dry side. But these are, like, really amazing for $5. Well, these were $4. These were pretty amazing to be so cheap. Or inexpensive, I should say. Not cheap, because they are good quality. I think because they were so inexpensive, I was expecting them to be cheap. Which is terrible on my part to just assume that. I feel like a lot of artists and non-artists too always assume that art supplies is very expensive. So it was nice to find some inexpensive materials to use, because I feel like a lot of the times we're taught to, like, use the most expensive materials, and that would somehow bring quality to your pieces, which I don't feel that way. I feel like it's not about the tools that you use, it's how you use them. But I know a lot of people hate that because they feel like some artists use that to, like, gatekeep in a way. But I really do feel that way. It's not about what you use, it's about how you use it. Because, again, I'm here just coloring some markers I just bought. I didn't even swatch them yet. I probably should have swatched them first. But I was just like, I'll figure it out as I go. Don't do that. Don't be me. But also, this is my sketchbook. And I'm not trying to make a masterpiece in my sketchbook. You know, I know some people do. I'm not one of those people. I make some doodles in my sketchbooks, and I call it a day. Sometimes I return to those doodles and add some more. Or what I used to do when I was in high school, I went to an art high school, art and design high school, and everyone had like these amazing sketchbooks. Like every page was like a masterpiece. So when I would get frustrated about something not coming out the way I wanted it to, I would rip pages out of my sketchbook to the point where the binding would start falling apart, like the little stitches and thread would start coming out, because I would get so frustrated, like, oh my god, I'm not as good as everyone. My sketchbook looks like a sketchbook. Which obviously is supposed to be a sketchbook. It's not supposed to be a portfolio. But I digress. That was a little too much. I just overshared right there. So I apologize for that. Anyway, I really love these markers. They remind me of my Ohuhu markers, which I have been rocking with for years now, ever since I bought them on Amazon. They've been rocking with me to the point where most of them are dry, you know, and I know you can use alcohol and all that, but, you know, sometimes you just get a little lazy. It's like when you start painting and you just leave your paintbrushes in the water. Like, do I really want to clean them right now? Or just buy some new paintbrushes? Which is why I just bought a new fresh pack of paintbrushes, because I leave my paintbrushes in the water. I'm terrible with that. Anyway, so yeah, then this is one of the neutral gray markers, and you see this one is not as smooth as the more vibrant ones. I was struggling to color this background. I was like, wow, okay, maybe they're not that great. So I decided to try to, like, you know, happy little accidents this, because I decided to go in it without swatching. And you see me here, like, looking at the back of the page like, oh my god, am I ODing? But I was not. Okay. So I'm trying to, like, make a little pattern, make it, like, as if it was a textured background. I'm trying to talk myself into finishing this piece now, because it's like, all right, I already started. Now I gotta finish it. Yeah, I was really just going with the flow, because I had no set plan at this point. I felt like it was ruined. And I was like, damn, I'm recording too, like, caught me in 4K. I'm like, all right, let me just try to get a clean outline all along this alien and just do my best. Make it happen. My feelings, or not my feelings. Well, yeah, my feelings were hurt. Because I was like, wow, the $4 markers worked so well. The $5 markers gotta be good, right? Disappointed is what I am. Like, I hate how streaky it looks. Even when it dries, you're gonna see that it still looks streaky. So you can see, like, the first part that I started by Solar is, like, still pretty streaky. Compared to the green is a little streaky. But look at the difference. It's like insane. I don't know. Disappointed is what I am. That is what I am. Disappointed. So I'm just trying my best. I'm like, oh man, maybe I should just do horizontal lines all the way through. And then I'm looking at the left side like, oh wait, it's too late. Yeah. But I'm trying though. Trying to make it work. I'm like, oh, let me cover this up. Let me cover that up. Oh my God, I made it worse. I'm looking at it like, no. And I'm just like, oh, let me just do the other side. I'm going to try to make it work. And I feel like I've gotten a question a lot before where it's like, oh my God, do you like never make mistakes? Or like, do you always sketch out or plan what you're going to do? I always make mistakes because I don't sketch or plan out what I'm going to do. But I just try to go with it. Like, I make multiple mistakes on all my pieces. And I'm just like, could have been better. But I decided to just wing it. Like, you know when you get in those moods where you're like, oh, I gotta make art right now. I get like that, but I'm also like, I don't feel like doing any planning. I just want to get into it. So like, if I feel like recording in that moment, I just gotta work with whatever is being recorded at that point. Like this. I was upset because I'm like, damn, I'm recording. It's coming out crazy. I was so excited for these markers. And I'm like, all right, I gotta make it work. Now I gotta make it work. I have to. And I feel like you have to do that sometimes because it's not always going to be perfect. Even when you plan things out, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to work in your favor. And even when you do plan things out, you're going to change your mind. Like, you're going to change your mind because you don't like the way something looks or something happens. You know, things happen. Ideas change. And concepts change, and that's okay. You just gotta make sure that you could work through the changes, which is what I try to do. So you see I'm working with the background right now, I'm trying to give some nice wavy lines. I overlined the parts where the streaks intersected so that it looked a little intentional, you know. I always hated that. I'd be like, hey, you have to assume everything's intentional. So yes, this is intentional now. I am intentionally putting wavy lines. Do you hear the ice cream truck? I'm about to go get me some ice cream. Alright, the ice cream truck left. I didn't get any ice cream, unfortunately. So, like I was saying, I'm intentionally covering up this streaky background, which I'm so over. And you see, now I'm just adding random lines, thick and thin, trying to give some depth and dimension and make it look like I'm not trying to cover up a mistake. I am intentionally doing this. This was my plan all along. You understand me? So, I know you're probably thinking, why is she using the thick side when she has a dual tip marker for thin lines? And I just wanted to be able to switch to thick and thin lines quickly, you know? But that marker does that really well. I can use the chisel tip for thick and thin lines. A lot of markers you can't do that because then it starts like bleeding on the paper. So that was pretty nice. I do like that about this marker. So now I'm going in with another one of the neutral grays. And you see the color on the marker, right? Like on the marker itself. It looks purple. So I assumed it was gonna be purple. It was not. It was not purple. It looks like a dark gray. That's one thing that I definitely don't like about a lot of alcohol markers is that you cannot tell what color is actually going to be until you put it on the paper. Like, can we get more accurate, like, packaging or colors on the outside? Because at this point, don't even put a color on the outside. Just give me a number and I'll figure it out for myself. Because clearly those colors are way off. It's not purple. It's gray. Maybe my eyes are deceiving me. Who knows? But again, another purple looking color to then just be a dark gray. I would appreciate more either more accurate depictions or let's just not have color at all on the outside. But I know this is exactly why people swatch. And this is why I should swatch. But it just seems like a lot of work. Sometimes I just want to get right into the drawing, right into the coloring, you know? I just get in those moods where I'm like, I don't want to do any type of setup or planning. I just want to get into it. Get into a nice flow state, you know? See, I was expecting a reddish marker or like a magenta type color. In person, the color on the page looked more like yellow or orange, almost like gold, because it was kind of like not shimmering, but like because of the type of paper and like how many layers I'm in, it just looked like almost gold. So it didn't look like the color that's on the outside of the marker. So now I'm just like winging it because every time I pick up the color, it's not the color I'm expecting. So definitely the colors on the neutral gray markers are harder to gauge than the more vibrant ones. The vibrant ones are more accurate, I feel. Clearly, you can tell which one are my favorite by now. Not that I'm not grateful, because I am very grateful. So, you see, I did that. I fixed the mistake. It looks very intentional. A nice wavy background with some stars and some spaceships, UFOs, whatever you like to call them. So after adding the stars and the flying saucers and the wavy background, it still didn't feel complete. It didn't feel like enough for me because I always have to be extra. And it's not me if I don't add extra details. Of course, because I have to make it a longer process for myself every time. So I'm looking at it. I like it so far. It's just not feeling done. I need to feel that done feeling. And I'm just sitting with the drawing like, alright, I don't know what else to add at this point. I'm staring at it for a while. Usually I'll put a drawing down or a piece down and then come back to it. However, with this, I wanted to just do the recording in one sitting, so I go in with my Signo white gel pen. I love adding white details, like little highlights, kind of. I don't want to call them highlights because they're not always highlights. Sometimes I just like make random lines. So I like to add in some white details to my alcohol marker drawings. So I feel like it gives it a little pop. And it just really brings it all together, I feel. Some people might not like it because they feel like it's like a little exaggerated, but that's okay. Sometimes I add a little bit of the white details into the background, not just the foreground, because again, you gotta give it a little pop sometimes, you know? It's looking a little dead, gotta give it some life. And that is what I'm doing here. I feel like it makes it look juicy or shiny. And yeah, I love that. I want my drawings to be juicy drawings. So after adding the nice, cute, shiny bits, I'm going to move on to the background. I kept going until I felt like it was done. Like I couldn't do anything more, didn't need anything else. Because sometimes, you know, it looks unfinished. And it could stay that way. It could completely stay that way. However, I love making more work for myself. Can't you see? I did the Inktober's already, and I want to color them in like years later. But it's actually fun. It's like I made my future self a coloring book of my own drawings. So that's fun. Do you ever like get in those moods where you just want to color but you don't want to draw necessarily? Like you don't want to have to sketch up a whole concept. You just want to color, because sometimes I feel that way. So it was helpful having the ink drawings in my sketchbook, because I could just color them in when I feel like coloring, which is pretty often that I color, because it's just fun. I feel like trying to plan a whole thing is like the work. Adding some white stars now, I feel like it gives it some more depth. We're going in on the background. I am not a background person whatsoever. I don't know if you can tell, because usually my backgrounds are like patterns or something very simple. We are going in on that background. We gotta make some cute, shiny, juicy stars, because, you know, what's space without stars? Dark abyss. That's what it is. And that's not what we're going for today. We're going for juicy space. Juicy universe. Honestly, if I had kept it how it was before, just the gray background with the wavy lines, it would have looked so plain and bland, even with the color and the white details. So I'm glad I went in with the background, because it just gives it a nice pop. Added some light beams to the UFOs. After doing that, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I needed. I am done with this drawing now. The markers turned out way better than I expected. Well, the vibrant ones. The grays and neutrals kind of let me down after the vibrant ones. But still pretty good for the price. So I am very grateful that I stumbled upon these on my trip to Five Below, because I was not planning on buying any type of art supplies. The only way that you find gems is when you are like exploring and experimenting. So I encourage everyone to do the same. So now we are finally swatching the markers, which is what I should have done first. But of course, it's me. I win. You lose. Anyway, we're doing the grays and neutrals first. The 12 think it said skin tones and grays. Not a wide range of skin tones. Wish it was a little better. I feel like there were more gray tones than skin tones. I'm a little slow with the swatching because this is not something I do often. I usually just wing it, or when I'm in the process of coloring, I take like a scrap sheet of paper and just test the marker and then start coloring because I'm not gonna really look back at swatches, but I know some people do. I personally don't do that. I normally swatch as I go. I just wanted to swatch for the video so you guys can see all the colors next to each other. Since I didn't use all the colors in the last piece, at least here you can see all the colors it came with and how the markers work. Pretty smooth. These could be a lot smoother. I feel like these markers are more on the dry side compared to the other ones, but of course that can be fixed. It's just my first impression, you feel me? So as you can see, not a wide range of skin tones, just not. Luckily I do have other skin tone markers. I'd probably use these neutrals and grays more for like backgrounds and shading. I don't really do like portraits or anything. I don't really need skin tone markers. Sometimes, you get in those moods where you're just like, I want to do a realistic portrait today. In those silly moods. And then immediately regretting it after you start. Like, why did I do this to myself? Yeah, that's me. Anytime I do realism, it just reminds me of being back in high school and like my realism not being as good as everyone else's realism. And it's not even because I can't draw what I see. It's more like I just want to draw what I want. I just want to draw what I want to draw. Like, why do I have to draw what I'm seeing? It's already there. And if there's a picture of it, there's a picture of it. Can I add some more stuff? Can I add a little pizzazz? And I'll add a little spice? But, it was always like your portfolio had to be a bunch of realism. And then you could have a couple of like your own style. These markers go on way better. And I feel like when they dry, the color doesn't change as much as the neutrals and the grays. When it's wet, it looks darker. And when it dries, it doesn't look as dark. These don't change as much, which I like. Because I don't like surprises. You know what I mean? I just like to color and go. I don't want to be like, oh my God, I picked the wrong color. It has to be a quick, seamless process. But these are drying very nicely. I love these more than the other one. And these were $4. That's crazy. $4. You could tell I got very bored with the circles. I had to do like paint splatter shape, flower shape. Because I was over the circles. But obviously this took me longer, as you can see. Way, way longer than the circles. I should have just did a dash of each color and just write it. But you know me, I gotta overdo it. I gotta be extra. Just super duper extra. The vibrant colors came with a darker brown than the skin tone markers. That's interesting. I just realized that. You could see a little difference in pigment and in the quality. They definitely seem to be like two different brands based on the packaging and the quality, obviously. definitely something to look out for if you go to Five Below or order from Five Below. They are not all the same quality, but it's still manageable, and still, if you just need something inexpensive to work with, I think these are perfect. I'm not saying to make like a whole masterpiece and sell it for like $1,000 with these, but also they wouldn't devalue your work, you know what I mean? So I am super duper glad that I bought these, and hopefully this review and this video would help anyone who goes to Five Below and like is thinking about getting some inexpensive art supplies. I'm not gonna review the paintbrushes because I feel like, there's nothing really to review about them. They're just paintbrushes. I don't expect them to be extravagant or different than regular paintbrushes. But these markers I definitely had to review because I love working with alcohol markers, and I love finding new ones to work with and just add to my collection because, you can never have too many art supplies. I feel like that's part of the hobby is collecting as many art supplies as you can. Even if you don't use them all, I feel like you'll find a use for them at some point, or you could give it to someone. And trust me, I have an abundance of art supplies, and I continue to buy when I don't need, because it just calls to me. Says, please buy me right now. Bam. Bet you wasn't expecting that. And I think you already know by now, I could not leave the swatches all plain. I had to doodle on top of them. And to end the video, a mini sketchbook tour. All the Inktober drawings are from 2019, and then I decided to color them in between 2020 and now. Thank you so much for watching. If there's any other video you'd like to see from me, let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe.